COVID, and that's not true for many of our competitor states. If you look at just things like leisure and hospitality, they added almost 20,000 new jobs in the month of July alone in the state of Florida. We had over 70,000 jobs created in the private sector in Florida in the month of July alone. And again, that's one of the top probably 10 months we've had in the last 30 years in terms of private sector job growth. If you look at our fiscal situation, we have the largest budget surplus by far that we've ever had in the history of the state of Florida, $22 billion. And we've done that with no income tax and second lowest per capita state tax burden in the country, and we've reduced taxes every year since I've been governor, and yet that surplus represented for the last fiscal year that ended, it's over 20% of our total budget are surplus represented. And so that's the polar opposite of what you see in Washington, where they always talk about these massive deficits and massive debt. So we've done it right. A lot of people said a couple years ago that we were going to be facing massive shortfalls because no one would come here when COVID hit and all this other stuff. And the truth has been just the opposite. We had 2021, the best year we've ever had for domestic tourism. And of all the international travel in 2021 to the entire United States, almost 45% of that was to the state of Florida. So that's a massive share of international visitors. And it's because people could travel to Florida and be normal. And they didn't want to have to go and get shaken down for medical papers or be forced to take tests and do all these crazy things that were being imposed in other states around the United States that was more akin to like a biomedical security state. They knew if they came to Florida, they'd be able to enjoy themselves. And so that's benefited us. It's caused us to have a lot of people employed, and a lot of people have done very, very well. But we have this situation called the federal government and federal policy. And what you've seen over the last year and a half are policies that have inflated the currency, caused prices to rise really across the board. You've seen an energy policy that has been trying to kneecap our own production. That's caused major problems, and people are saying somehow gas is down. It's down from like a record high, but it's still much higher than it was 2 years ago. And so this has huge impacts on individual family budgets, people on fixed incomes, businesses, because if you look at all the things that people need to build a house or to do whatever industry you're in, almost everything has gone up dramatically. So that is really the biggest problems. And now interest rates are going up and have gone up because you have such persistently high inflation. That is the inflation and the energy, those are the number one problems facing our nation's economy. Florida, we can fight back against a lot of the policies, but we can't be immune to the federal government printing trillions and trillions of dollars. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And so what we've tried to do is say, okay, we see those headwinds, we see them doubling down on a lot of these policies. When Biden did these stimuluses, trillions and trillions of dollars, you had people who worked as economists for people like Obama and Bill Clinton say, wait a minute, if you do this, you're going to fuel major inflation. And so he was warned. There were a lot of people across the political spectrum saying that would be the result, and sure enough, that has been the result. So, and so it's had a big impact, I think, on just people's daily lives. And then the announcement yesterday that they are going to require the American taxpayer to basically be responsible for some of these student loans, first of all, is very unfair to people that took out loans, worked hard, and paid off their loans. It's very unfair to people who took other pathways in life that didn't require them to take out a lot of loans. So maybe people that went into business immediately, people that went into trades, they made those decisions to not have that debt, and now the debt's being put on them, and some have estimated it could represent about $2,000 per taxpayer when all is said and done with this. And so it's very unfair to have a truck driver have to pay back a loan from somebody that got like a PhD in gender studies. That's not fair. That's not right. And so, and then you also just have the fact, like, if you're going to talk about debt, then you should look at, okay, who has benefited the most from all this exorbitant debt that's been taken out over the last generation? It's the universities. They have bloated administrative budgets. They have all this, although in Florida, since I've been governor, no tuition increases at our state universities. We haven't allowed that. Because all it does is they plow it in, and they will expand like the DEI office or something else like that, and it has no real impact on the quality of the education when they're raising the tuition. It just creates more administrative bloat, and that's been going on, and the colleges and universities have gotten a free ride at this. So, my view is if you're going to do some type of student loan, relief, it's not really relief because people are still paying for it, but the people that should pay for it are not the American taxpayers. It should be the universities should be responsible for that. If they're producing people that went deep into debt and their degree is not worth anything and they're not able to make enough money to pay it back, well, then that's on them, and they've had an incentive to get more and more loans taken out and then put it in their pocket. So we should look at these universities, but what Biden is doing, it's going to cause more inflation, which is what you just had one of Obama's economists come out and say, this is the worst time to do this. It's going to fuel inflation. This is not good policy. Obviously, the fairness and all that is very important, but it's not a good fiscal or monetary policy. And so you see that. But then you also have the fact that they're doing that with zero reform to the universities and the loans and everything that's happened that's clearly way, way out of whack. And then, I think this is still important. Some people may not care as much. He does not have the constitutional authority to do this. He is relying on emergency powers because of COVID. So wait a minute. You got a PhD in gender studies 5 years ago, and that has something to do with COVID? It is an abuse of power. It's not constitutional. I don't think this is going to be sustained going forward. But it just shows you when you hear these politicians talking about these emergency powers, basically they want that to be able to override the traditional rule of law. So I think it's going to get rejected, but clearly it is in fact, unconstitutional to be doing that. All this being said, is just this is a bad policy, it's unfair, and it's going to exacerbate many of the very problems that people are suffering under. So we've been seeing this going on now for months and months. We've made efforts to be able to provide relief to Floridians, as best we can from the state government's perspective. So we signed into law the largest tax relief package in the history of the state of Florida. It's $1.2 billion that went into effect July 1st. That did things like, of course, a big back-to-school holiday. We had the outdoor stuff. We had the disaster preparedness. We've had a whole year now for baby diapers and different things, baby clothes, which, we got a 2-year-old, so we're still not out of the woods on that, although she's very advanced with everything. So you do, but that's a big deal. We have, starting October 1st, we have a gas tax holiday, which I think is going to be important because the price of, I think you're going to see the oil futures go up, and I think you're going to see gas go up as we get through to the end of the year. And if you look at this Inflation Reduction Act that they did, which I don't know how you're reducing inflation by hiring 87,000 IRS agents, but nevertheless that's what they're doing. And those IRS agents, they're going after basically people the government disfavors. These limousine liberals have accountants and lawyers. They're not going to be really suffering. It's going to be the sole proprietor, the mom and pop, the handyman, the Uber driver. Those are the people that are going to get hit. And the problem is the audit itself is debilitating for these people. They don't have the wherewithal to even defend themselves, and so it's basically, from the IRS's perspective, they view it as low-hanging fruit, and they think that they can squeeze a lot of folks by doing that. So that's, I think, unfortunately, what you're going to be able to see on that, and I think it was very irresponsible that they would be doing something like adding 87,000. They're not adding 87,000 people at the southern border, I can tell you that, because the fentanyl is coming in, and all the other problems are still coming in. But within that Inflation Reduction Act, quote unquote, they actually have taxes on energy. You have oil and gas taxes. And so how, by taxing that, is that going to make the price at the pump go down? I don't know any economic philosophy that would say that would cause the price to be reduced. No, that price is ultimately going to be passed on consumers, once it gets refined and then sent to the gas stations. And so you're going to see that happen. And that's not going to be good either. So having that gas tax holiday where we wipe out the state tax is important. That'll take place October 1st. And we've also done a lot of stuff to invest in things like workforce education, just because you need truck drivers, you need all these key people to keep the supply chain going. We saw all these disruptions. We have more stuff coming into our ports now as a result of that, because we said we're open. We had a company move from California to Jacksport in Jacksonville because they knew that they had confidence in what Florida was doing. So all of that, those matter. And we're doing what we can. But we also want to find innovative ways to continue to provide relief for Floridians. So one of the things we're working on, and we're not going to announce it today, but we will announce it going forward, we're going to have the biggest tax relief package in the history of this state by far. So that's going to be something we're going to do. And we want it to be done in ways that are going to be meaningful. And so you're going to see probably a big legislative package, but you're also going to see, I think, we want to do property tax relief. We may have to put some stuff on the ballot, but we have an opportunity now, because our fiscal situation is so strong, to provide relief for Floridians when we're facing these difficult headwinds with the inflationary policies coming out of Washington. So part of what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working with the legislature to advance a big package for toll relief for motorists and for commuters, because I think if you look at around the state, you've got people that have to commute, and this adds up every single day to be doing those charges. And there's a variety of different, you have the Central Florida Expressway, you've got the whole situation in Miami where it's pinged back and forth between these different but so it's not all controlled by the state. Obviously we have the Turnpike Authority, but legislatively we can work with the legislature to probably provide relief across the board for all of that. So that's going to be on the agenda. That's very important. But as we were developing this, we noticed that with respect to the Florida Turnpike, I, as governor, had an ability to provide some immediate relief to ratepayers and to motorists based on the amount of surplus that's been generated in these programs. And so what we said was, yeah, we want to have a bold proposal for the next legislative session, but let's put some points on the board right now, if we can do that, in the run-up to what I hope will be a real historic package of savings for taxpayers. So today, what we are announcing is the SunPass Savings Program that we will implement starting September 1st to provide discounts to Floridians using Florida Department of Transportation and Turnpike facilities for their daily commute, including many right here in Central Florida. So this will start, as I said, September 1st. It will run 6 months to be able to get us into next year when the legislature is back. This will be available to SunPass and other Florida transponder users. We think the potential benefit is about 400,000 SunPass customers who are using FDOT and Turnpike-operated toll roads to get to work every day. This will end up returning nearly $40 million to SunPass customers over this 6-month period. And if you look at people who have to use these every day, it adds up very quickly. So how it's going to work is, and we're really focusing on the people that are commuters. Because you have tourists come, they'll pay a toll or something like that. Okay, we'll take that. It's like, sorry. I'd rather them pay than us pay, so we'll do that. But the people that are on our roads a lot, obviously these are our people, and we want to be able to provide relief. So customers with 40 tolls or more a month get a 20% credit to their SunPass account every month, and customers with 80 or more tolls get a 25% credit on their bill every month. And so, this is small but important savings, and when you look at everything else we're doing, this adds up to give people some breathing room, because the inflation is costing people thousands of dollars a year. So if we can do some relief here and there, then we're providing, I think, some support for folks, and so we're happy about that. And the only thing that you need to do, there's no requirement for any paperwork or anything. As long as your account is in good standing, you will get the savings passed on to you, and you will see that credit reflected into your account. So for September, you'll see it in October, and you will see the 20% or 25% or whatever you qualify for. So we are happy to be able to do that. And of course, these tolls do go to maintaining the facilities, but between the surplus we have right in these, in the Turnpike Authority, and then for next year, as we're looking at broader tax relief, we do have a very robust budget surplus, and we want to be able to return a big portion of that back to taxpayers, and so that's what we're going to be able to do. A map of the roads included in the program can be found at www.sunpass.com, but I have a list here. So Central Florida Expressway, we don't have authority to do this unilaterally with them. We also don't have authority to do some of the Miami-Dade Expressway authority as well. We do want to include those with the legislature, and we can do it with the legislature. Now, Central Florida Expressway, Miami-Dade, they can do similar things to what I'm doing here, if they want to do that. So we would encourage them to look to see what you can do right now to help commuters, because obviously these facilities are important, but there's other facilities that commuters have to take that we would obviously include in the legislative proposal, but we just don't have the authority to do it unilaterally for the governor. So if people are asking why, that's the reason why. If I could do it, I would have included it. So the places that we have throughout the state of Florida, obviously Turnpike Mainland, Sawgrass Expressway, Alligator Alley, Polk Parkway, Sunshine Skyway Bridge, I-4 Connector, Veterans Expressway, Suncoast Parkway, Beachline East, Beachline West, Western Beltway, Southern Connector Extension, Seminole Expressway, Wekiva Parkway, First Coast Expressway, Garcon Point Bridge, Pinellas Bayway, 95 Express, 75 Express, Palmetto Express, 595 Express, I-4 Express, 295 Express East, and 295 Express West. And so this map will be at, there it is right there, you see it. So that will be there, and we look forward to this going, and I want to thank FDOT. We had, once we were done with all last year, or this year's legislative items in the budget, we started meeting and basically are saying, I'm like, look, we need relief for folks. What can we do? What are our options? And obviously the legislative proposal has been in the works, and that's forthcoming, but could we do anything now? And so this is an important thing to be able to do now, and it's part of a lot of different things that we've been able to do to recognize really the toll that this inflationary period is having. And they were crowing about the most recent month's inflation, but it's still, at a very high level, and so it's nothing to really sing about. I mean, I think we're still in for some difficult times, especially when you look at energy went down last month, but a lot of that was because of demand went down. They haven't really solved the supply problem, and so that is eventually, I think, going to rear its ugly head. I unfortunately do think you're going to see increases, but then if you look at food and some of the other things, housing, some of this stuff, it was gone up pretty dramatically and much more than just 8%, and so that's really, really difficult. And so we want to be sensitive and do what we can at the state level. Obviously, doing some of the stuff they're doing in Washington is making it very difficult. And when you're doing this student loan thing, knowing it's going to exacerbate the inflation, I mean, how many people are going to be impacted by the inflation? And a very small number of people you're looking at are going to get these loans paid for by taxpayers. It doesn't really make sense. It's not a way to really unify the country behind a shared purpose. It's really a very divisive policy because you're alienating people who went and did the right thing and paid off everything. You're alienating people who decided they didn't want to take out student loans. They wanted to pursue other ways. And you're basically, there's going to be people that get law school debt, medical school debt, who are making six figures are going to be eligible to have taxpayers to pick up $10,000. And you got to think, like, with all that's going on, is that really the best use of government power? Obviously, he's doing it in ways that are not constitutional, but it's a problem. So we're here with this. Next legislative session, we do want to have Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, Central Florida Expressway included legislatively, which we can do. But until then, hopefully they'll be able to mimic what we've done, because I think any additional savings is going to help. And you go, I mean, obviously here in Central Florida, and you got tolls a lot of places. Miami-Dade, these commuters, they're going and they're getting hit with this. And so we have some in the area for both of those, but we don't have everything under our authority. So please, if they're able to take action, I think it would be very, very positive. And we look forward to having a really, really robust tax relief package that we're going to be able to move through, hopefully with really strong support. So stay tuned on that. We'll be having more proposals that we'll be putting out over the next few weeks, and I think people will be very pleased. We're also going to be putting out some proposals to, yes, we've done record amount of funding for infrastructure, but we also have so much robust growth, and not just growth in people moving here, but the tourists coming clog up the roads, and it's very difficult. You try to go from Tampa to Orlando on I-4. It doesn't matter what time of day. I mean, you could just be stuck. So we're sensitive to some of these places in the state. Well, while we have a work program, while we're doing a lot, and we've made good strides in some of the stuff in the Orlando area, it's like, okay, we have this surplus. Are there ways we can do some moonshots to really just start accelerating? So stay tuned on that, because I just think that, sitting in traffic, one, it's bad for individuals. I mean, we want people to be with their family, we want people to get places, but it also affects like just the overall economy, moving goods across that. And so that's something that we want to do. So we're going to be announcing some stuff, but clearly this region is going to be a recipient of some of what we're looking to do. So I think people will be really pleased with that. Okay, we're happy with today's announcement, and we'll now hear from the Lieutenant Governor.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with Governor Ron DeSantis and our Secretary, Department of Transportation, Secretary Perdue, along with our legislative colleagues and so many FDOT Turnpike employees that understand the importance of today's announcement. So as the governor mentioned, in Florida, we're proud of the solutions that we've been able to implement to make a difference in the lives of Floridians. Everything through our record tax package, in which we're able to remove the tax burden on so many items that many of you buy on a regular basis, along with our Freedom First policies, making sure that we are sensitive to the plight that people are being subjected to because of the spending, by inflation, and all the taxing and spending that they're doing at the federal level, of which, of course, we're not immune to. And then, of course, as well, the education and our workforce strategies making us #1 on the way to be #1 to career and technical. So Florida families, as we know, they've been impacted very deeply by the impacts of inflation, rising cost of gas. The other day I went to the grocery store. What used to be a $3.99 bag of potatoes is now $6.99. So I can tell you that when you go to the store, you feel the pinch, you feel the impact in a very real way. And so we are very proud of the work that we've done in Florida. As the governor mentioned, we've been staunchly looking at ways to bring some relief. He talked about the gas tax that will be coming in October. And we've also are very proud of the work that we do in the Department of Transportation. We have one of the strongest transportation and road systems in the country, and we're proud of that. But unfortunately, simply right now, it is costing us more to get to work than it did a year ago. And I know you're going to hear from someone that feels that plight, but what I can tell you is I too, in the Miami area, as the governor mentioned, we've seen runaway toll agencies increasing the cost of tolls. And there's always that talk about if a toll is a tax or not. Well, all I know is that it's impacting Floridians in a very real way. And oftentimes they have no way around it, because what would take, typically should take about 30 minutes because of traffic, can take upwards of an hour and a half to traverse maybe just 13 miles in Miami-Dade County. And I know this area is no stranger to traffic and battling those challenges, but tolls have a real impact on people's daily lives, on their budgets, and sometimes you have to opt to go another route and not take a toll road because it's going to cost you that much more. So then you have to be burdened with the increased amount of traffic. So I believe that this savings program will have a real positive impact on families, not just here, but throughout the state, and we're excited to see that implemented, and we look forward to being able to have a little bit of relief from the spending and the rising cost of bite inflation that impacts us all on a daily basis. So for those of you that are commuters, I think this is welcome news. And as the governor mentioned, we continue to look for innovative ways to bring a little bit of relief to Floridians, because that is what we fight for every day. We fight for Floridians, and we want to make sure that anything that we can do to minimize the pain and suffering that we're feeling at the results of the federal government, we're going to be fighting for you each and every day. So thank you all so much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mariah Biddle. I'm a Florida native, and I was born and raised in Brevard County, Florida, where I've been a corrections deputy for over 8 years with the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. However, I am currently a resident of Orange County, and every month I commute at least 2,000 miles for work. Every day I drive on toll roads such as State Road 408, 417, 528, and now the newly opened I-4 Express lanes. This program will provide relief for hardworking Floridians and business owners that are already feeling the strain from inflation and on everyday items and high gas prices. More importantly, having the ability to affordably use these toll roads gives us something else you can't put a price on: time. Time that we can spend creating more business opportunities, and time that we can spend creating memories with our families. Once again, our governor proves why he's the best in the nation. Thank you, Governor, and your team for everything you did for the citizens of Florida.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor DeSantis, Lieutenant Governor Nunez, for your leadership, and also thank you for putting Florida families first. I'm Jared Perdue, the Florida Department of Transportation Secretary, and I tell you, we're really excited to be providing this new SunPass savings program as a way for us to give back to our loyal customers and show gratitude for your continued support. As the people of Florida continue to navigate the challenges of rising costs in everyday life, Governor DeSantis has asked and directed FDOT to find innovative ways to provide relief while still accomplishing our mission. 40 transactions, it may sound like a lot, but if you consider your daily commute, 2 tolls a day, 5 days a week, you get to 40 transactions in a month. So this is going to be good relief, and we're really excited about it. Developing and implementing programs like this prove the department's and the governor's commitment to providing a resilient and innovative transportation system. As we continue making strategic investments in our transportation infrastructure, Floridians can rest assured that we will maintain our resolve to fulfill our mission of providing a safe and efficient transportation network. It's extremely rewarding to be a part of an agency in a state that keeps its customers as the core focus and consistently looks for more ways to keep Florida as a leader in transportation. FDOT is proud to debut the SunPass Savings Program under Governor DeSantis' leadership. And once again, Governor DeSantis, thank you.